But see if you can find a place in your home where you can really sit comfortably, support yourself in any way that you need to. Open a window if it's a little bit stuffy and warm so that you can sort of stay fresh. And do your best to sit as straight as possible too. Our sensitivity is running on the circuitry that we call the nervous system and also the energy body. And of course, we can feel whether we're slumped or straight, but if we kind of take on an aligned posture, I believe that it supports that sensitivity. It supports the circuitry to transmit messages, whether that be neurological messages or energetic messages. So yeah, just do your best to use cushions or whatever you need to help to keep the body as aligned as possible. The jaw parallel to the ground, the crown up facing the sky. The pelvis, in a neutral position, not tucked under. So all of that can be quite helpful. And speaking of the pelvis, I want to encourage you to just come on down into where the pelvis is sitting on your chair, the sits bones, perhaps connecting. Maybe even for some of us, the tailbone, we can feel that touching as well. So it's like this tripod that we're sitting on. Just bring your attention down there. So you are inhabiting the base of the pelvis as opposed to thinking about it. Bring the attention down, and what helps us to inhabit is really feeling the sensations. So there's a sensation where the buttocks are meeting your seat. There's a weight. Maybe you feel the weight a little bit more on the right or the left side. So just noticing that. And just keep your attention there. It's going to want to slide back up, most likely. But you want to be gently persistent and just keep bringing it back down into the base of the pelvis, to that place where your body meets the solidity of the earth. Good. So I could feel the group land. Maybe you can feel yourself land. There's this moment where we really acknowledge that we are being supported from below through our body. And the body just drops a little bit. And maybe there's even kind of a relaxation into that holding. Good. And then as the pelvis softens into the ground, the rest of the body will follow suit. You may notice that there's kind of this trickle effect. It just trickles down. Or the relaxation trickles up, right? So the pelvis relaxes, and maybe the belly, the contents of the belly begin to kind of spill into the pelvic container. Maybe the chest begins to soften, and perhaps the breath begins to open up a little bit. And the shoulders begin to drop all on their own. Good. And so I invite you now to bring awareness to the breath. Maybe it was already there. And there's just this kind of familiar expansion and contraction that happens in the core and even ripples into the limbs and up the neck. And we'll just let the breath be exactly the way that it is. And so to the mind, the breath is not that interesting. It's just this rhythm that's been going for a long time, your whole life. But what I would encourage you to do is to stay with the breath, to be open, and to notice that the more that you stay with it, and just stay open, curious, the more details of the breath become revealed. The more that you can detect subtle changes and not so subtle changes from one breath to the next. And you begin to relate to the breath from this place of wonder. And so you were watching a new baby breathe, or a new puppy or kitten that you've just brought home. And sometimes we like to watch them sleep, and it just seems like the most marvelous thing. And it is. So to bring that same sense of wonder to your own breath. And to be open to any new details that show up. Oh, it feels a little tight here. Or, oh, it's loosening up over there. And now expand the lens of your awareness just a little bit beyond the breath to the whole physical body, all of the sensations that you might be feeling in the body. And you won't feel them all at once, but as you open up that lens, you will begin to notice other sensations beyond those that are related to the breath. Some of these sensations might feel pleasant. Some of these not so much. And can you simply give this generous kind of openness to everything that you're experiencing? Generous meaning that we're allowing everything that shows up to be here. That which feels good, that which feels not so good, that which feels familiar, that which feels not so familiar. And then just notice what that attitude, how that attitude affects your experience. How allowing things to be as they are affects your experience. Not how you think it should affect your experience, but how it actually is affecting your experience. Good. And then just open the lens a little bit more so that it can pick up more subtle sensations, those related to the emotional body and maybe even the energy body, if that's something that you are familiar with. Maybe there's an emotion that's been hanging out in your system today or recently. Maybe there's something that's just showing up now. Either way, connect to that emotional, energetic realm and notice where the activity is happening in your body, how it expresses. Is it a tightness? Is it a swirling? Is it a heaviness? Is it a numbness? And again, allow all of that to be exactly the way that it is. We are cooperating with our moment just the way that it's showing up. You don't need to agree with what you are noticing. You don't need to understand it, justify it, know where it's coming from. All of that can be let go of. We're only really interested in what's actually happening right now. And at this point, you may begin to notice that your relationship with your experience has shifted since we began our time together. Maybe you feel more connected to yourself, more intimate, more here, more present. More in harmony within yourself. Or maybe not. So just trust your experience. And if you feel like there's resistance or that there's some kind of struggle, then open to that as well. Just noticing that there's essentially two things happening right here. We've got all these details of our current moment, of our inner experience, so our breath, our physical sensations, our emotional and energetic sensations, our thoughts, right? So all of that is coming and going, changing constantly. Nothing stays the same. And then within that, there's this sense of presence that doesn't change. So it's like all of the details are coming and going within this endless field of presence. So see if you can get the flavor of that. There's something here that's just aware. And it's been just aware from the moment you were born. It's been gazing out from behind your eyes. and it hasn't changed. The details, of course, have changed, and they will continue to change. But this place of presence really is the only place that can really hold the comings and goings of the emotional body, of the energy body, of the thoughts,